Hi, I'm glad you're here because I have a lot to tell you. Who am I? They call me the gray catbird, a simple yet fitting name for my rather conservative dress and my call, strangely mistaken for that of a hungry kitten. The very descriptive simplicity of my name makes learning it easy, meaningful, and fun. Instead of clouding one's mind with foreign phrases, one acquires a clear confirmation of the direct observation. This type of straightforward knowledge can be used to grasp various other topics, many of which have been often intentionally complicated. The basic truth is always there to be found, but to people caught in the latest deception, it lies deep under layers of duplicity, in a labyrinth of disinformation, literally debilitating the mind's logical diversity and linguistic deliberation. Fortunately, I love clarity and lucid contemplation, so I'll liberate your brain's capacity as I liquidate its constipation. Let's begin. I've been watching your human world and what you do, and must conclude that you're in deep doo-doo. Since my cat impression was getting old, I've picked up your local lingo and now can bring to your attention evidence for my determination, as well as some much-needed mitigation. Basically, I want to show you exactly what type of world order is currently unfolding before you, one which may soon become inescapable. There is in place a highly codified and complicit coalition of creaky but cunning cowards colluding to create a compliant creature out of you.
Crazy mother!
They already have in place under ideological control key political, economic, and religious figures propagating the plan. If all of it was meant to be good for you, they would have asked for your help a long time ago. This is not just leaders agreeing to pursue a common goal. It is a top-down fanatical dictatorship where orders are unquestionably sanctified. How do I know this? I'm looking at their actions and the impact on your life with unfiltered eyes. You don't believe me? Okay, look at your world and then look at mine. I would not want to trade places. Look through my eyes. Flying high above your head, what do you see? You were born into a strange world and told how to behave, how to get along, how to think, and how to succeed. Now, living a life you did not envision, there's hardly a moment for such self-reflection. Let us fly higher still, where skyscrapers resemble termite mounds. You see millions of people separated from nature, crowded into cold, concrete, counterfeit confinements for their bodies and minds. Now, soaring high, just below the clouds, far from your daily grind, you begin to see something very wrong. A beautiful blue-green planet of plenty. Yet billions of people have so little to live, while a few have appallingly more than all the rest. How can there exist such growing disparity, you say? You are now beginning to realize it is something grotesque and unnatural that should not be. I recognize such imperfection. It always stands in sharp contrast to nature, like mountaintop mining, clear-cutting timber, or factory farming. Of people, you will spot the same catastrophic flaws in societal structures that constantly diminish human freedom. They have chosen just such a framework that, once established and utilized by the unaware public, reinforces and proliferates human subjugation, where those uninformed suffer, while a select few proficient in mind control become affluent and authoritarian. This feat of social engineering is only possible because it was painstakingly premeditated, practiced, and perfected over thousands of years. I'm a bird, not submerged in your civilization, so it appears transparent to me. Once you refuse to accept any wasteful and destructive ideas you might be saddled with, you too will make sense of things that currently don't. For a clear example, consider that those at the very top know how to end hunger, disease, and suffering through copying nature, resolving internal conflicts, and learning self-empowerment, just to name a few. But instead of sharing such knowledge freely across the world, they use it as a never-to-be-fulfilled promise to entrap humanity into their new world order. With this one said recognition, you now understand the true disposition, and everything begins to fall into place. While the physical and technological aspects of social control are mostly developed, entrenched, and fortified around the world, not too far behind there is a constant effort to synthesize the non-physical. Through progressive persuasion and subversive suggestion, they aim to obtain not only consent to a one governing authority, but to also make people beg for it, worship it, and persecute anyone opposed to it. Once this ideology is widely ingrained, your civilization will become a self-policing asylum, where weak and broken souls no longer see their chains of oppression. They will become the perfect puppets, incapable of a unique, authentic expression. So what exactly have they achieved in their long-range campaign? To recognize their deeds, it helps to know their agenda. The overarching goal is to centralize control away from the individual, specifically control over things that foster human freedom. This includes man's ability to cooperate with nature, grow food, build property, strengthen family and community, nurture health, advance wisdom, develop imagination, gain self-respect, practice true love, and ultimately enhance the ability to understand God. These are just some of the virtues that have been systematically diminished in every part of civilized world. Knowing this is key to unlock what is truly happening. One can critically study history and examine the current predicament to detect the repetitive maneuvers, and from here draw lines into future to foresee their looming objectives. Their plan, being near completion, can only accelerate its current progression. Of course, today it's still possible to own land, providing a family with water, food, and sanctuary while creating one's own reality. But it's not made easy, and it's not where most of today's young generation is heading. Instead, the choice is made for them. The path monetized, their eyes mesmerized, and their minds stigmatized, away from being real, true, and free. Instead, they become followers, dependent fully on whims and failures of the industry or government. Land-owning families in most of the Western world were torn apart by industrial migration for new and growing cities, while in much of the Eastern world, landowners were collectivized. Both strategies worked extremely well, both resulting in the same loss of idyllic freedom. Today, they've put in place many economic and legal limitations, promoting poor farming practices, subsidies, artificial price inflation, bad credit, no credit, high taxes, easements, eminent domain, seizure, confiscation, and other central planning and infringements, disguised as benefits for a common good. If necessary, any of these will be cranked up to further fizzle out any remaining land ownership feasibility. The eventual intent is government ownership of all property and all means of production, which may include people, too. Now those displaced and dependent are further micromanaged by mandatory re-education to become compliant polluters and compulsive consumers. The opportunity of young minds to broaden their imagination and strengthen emotionally has instead been traumatized and atrophied. Because strong, independent minds don't bend blindly to those in control, homeschooling regulations and financial disincentives are also being expanded. To make the whole world easier to rule over, they've created a pathetic social construct without the valuable family life. where upbringing of children is done by government, numbing their minds right through adulthood. Elders, instead of imparting their knowledge and morals to grandchildren, are institutionalized away from their family through cost of living manipulation, offshore labor, and industry consolidation. Anyone working for a paycheck has little time left to pursue their family's independence. Most organizations, originally established of, by, and for the people, have been re-engineered to reinforce new social priorities that ignore individual rights. Groups unwilling to change are targeted with infiltration, provocation, or insinuation to destroy them from within and cripple people's confidence in their own ability to organize. There is a concerted effort to fuel hate among major religions, not only weakening them for possible future consolidation, but also dampening people's own faith, morality, and conviction. I know that God exists above all creation and that nobody can come between God and me. It is this direct connection that they actively attempt to sever through internal subversion, media perversion, and introduction of alternative theories and interpretations. They try to cheapen the truth about God's love for humanity. That's because their ultimate goal is to redirect man's love of God back to man, to a false belief that man has become God. Such self-indulgence hoodwinks society to then undermine the God-given individual rights, objective morality, and free will, replacing them with men's concessions of temporary privilege and a fluid psychosis of emotional relativity. Atheistic exaltation of human beings above all else is promoted because it puts people in a materialistic state of fear that their life on earth is all there is. Without faith in God, if a central authority can promise a more comfortable lifespan, most take that deal, even at a price of a lifelong enslavement. Those who stand firm in their knowledge of God don't need to be afraid. They know this life is a test, which can only strengthen the soul if lived with love, truth, and freedom in their hearts. They cannot be controlled with false promises and threats. How much better would the world be if everyone followed the innate gift to recognize what is right and simply refused if asked to do any less? They might suffer some short-term penalty or pain, but in the long run, they'll gain the permanent satisfaction of a free soul. At this very moment, political and media hype happening on local, national, and international levels is an overdrive to demonize people's fundamental means of defense against an oppressive government. Just about every country on this planet has already curbed this right. It is another calculated, concentrated, and collectively coordinated example of how they operate. What you see in the news and in the political theater doesn't just happen on such a sweeping scale. When have you last seen a room of 200 individuals, better yet 200 countries, unanimously agree on anything? But especially, why would they willingly decide to weaken their own people? That is exactly what happened. It took a lot of careful planning and decades of focused, mind-stupefying repetition to instill the necessary public acquiescence. At the same time, militarization of police, with their identical black riot uniform gear, vehicles, weapons, and mindset has expanded globally. There is also attention given to negative local police stories. Is this erosion of public opinion in preparation to justify the central management? Time will tell. Since the worldwide military buildup of the 20th century was fueled under a conscripted threat from conspiring governments, this century's focus was replaced by instigated global threats of terror to rationalize the use of military police tactics on the peaceful population. There's also a growing convergence of power within spy agencies that now, reportedly, coordinate an international network of cross-border intrusions. You know that the final prison walls are being locked into place when information censorship is growing and governments dramatically admit that what you say is being collected. Are they anticipating branding unwanted truth or opinion as thought crimes? Is the highly publicized suppression online just setting the stage for more laws and international oversight? You see on micro level, close to the ground, an illusion of independent bureaucracies and disconnected businesses is being carefully maintained, playing up age-old animosities and superficial competition. But on macro level, from high above, you clearly see seemingly unrelated sources leading you to one synchronized conclusion. When it comes to the impact on the human condition, the capacity for free speech and information reach will continue to decline under a veil of advertiser-friendly content and politically correct search results. Do you need more proof that there already exists a worldwide scheme of clandestine collaboration to enslave mankind? The proof is everywhere you turn if you look with the lucid mind of a child, uncorrupted and sharp to always ask the right direct questions and to see the plain truth. Anytime people of a given country begin to wake up to the true nature of the government, the leadership will be swiftly replaced by another imitation. To make sure that people believe that it is their own doing, a revolution might be manufactured. If people are viewed as too independent and unconvinced, an actual war may be provoked to incapacitate the public from any future discontent. Consider this. Many countries had a constitution, but in America, there was a very specific hierarchy established, where first, God created people as free beings under God's laws. People then gave authority to a constitution to govern and limit elected officials who administer duties stipulated within the constitution. Any laws must be in pursuance of the constitution. Any treaties or associations must fall under those laws and the Constitution. This chain of authority, if adhered to, would prevent the country's politicians from turning into, say, an arm of a global dictatorship. If indeed such tyranny was their goal, there would be an effort to totally reverse the established chain of authority, putting people on the bottom. Do you see this happening? Are there not laws with unconstitutional powers that elevate the administrators and relegate the public? Are there now international arrangements being hoisted over and above local laws, constitution, and the people? The slow creep of these changes to despotism goes unnoticed and is practiced under many different names until a new legal framework puts it firmly in place. Such reversal of jurisdiction submits people to an unnatural suppression of their power. Yet, many remain ignorant and in denial, framing problems as global problems, and the promotion of global solutions has increased tremendously in recent years. This occurs in so many countries in unison, with such scripted similarity, that fingerprints of global directors are blatantly obvious. Simulated drama, language laced with innuendos, and polarizing personalities in media and politics are skillfully used to mock those exercising freedom and distort their principles just enough to dissuade any growing interest. Over time, the pendulum of propaganda constantly swings, but by denigrating independent, decentralized, and liberating solutions, with each sway societies are nudged further to defenseless, clinging, and fearing shadows of human potential. Why are there regulations in place to allow for growth of incredibly large companies while decimating small independent operations? The resulting global market oligopolies offer exactly the kind of control needed for economic manipulation on global scale. When big business can suppress international wages, and living standards, while limiting market choices in media, mobility, or medication to those they want you to have, your country's independence is violated and your quality of life diminished to only mediocre. A similar worldwide social-economic status will allow them to quickly integrate many countries together. Next, why did the recent global theft and corruption receive protection, assistance, and barely a slap on the wrist? Was it to teach the public that they will always foot the bill? And that big business and big government are always too big to fail and prosecute? Well, the final result was that they both got even bigger. To me, and those who paid attention, this was a perfect lesson about how titanic disasters can get when there are just a few large players in a pump-and-dump global market. When choices are reduced, any risk becomes systemic risk, and victims are fleeced twice as nice. Conspired boom and bust cycles serve to funnel more property from the saving and investing public to maintain their dependence. What will the people's risk be when their choice of global government is reduced to just one? Here is a simple scenario of what your future may hold. Your body will belong to the state to vaccinate, medicate, and psychologically manipulate as they please. For your convenience, you will receive a mandatory chip implant to modify your mind and bodily functions as deemed necessary. Your smart home will be a tiny box where every appliance will monitor and report your daily activity. Your television, computer, and cell phone will not have an off button, tracking your thoughts, expressions, words, actions, and location, even when you're sleeping. Your car will be replaced by a government-owned self-driving bus that will take forever and play daily dictatorial directives while recording your every reaction. The internet will not work for you, but on you, connecting you only to advertisements, brainwashing propaganda, and mind-dulling entertainment. Your online and physical behavior will be compiled into a social score that determines your income, housing, privileges, and punishments. If you are not meeting desired criteria, your digital wallet will be locked until you pass a brutal re-education program. Self-owned small businesses will be illegal and only exist as part of a small, illicit underground market. Normal small bakeries, boutiques, bed and breakfasts, bookstores, and even barber and beauty shops. Everyone will be assigned the governmental profession based on a test score, measuring obedience and fear. Your Universal Citizens Basic Digital Income Credit will be rebranded to admit it's really a universal social contract of food rations for informants. If you're not plugged in into the system, you'll be considered a radical until a concocted claim makes you a criminal. So off to re-education you go. If that doesn't work, you'll be deleted.
Damn, are you listening?
The current direction of this world is increasingly binding our differences and freedoms to one mindset and one overbearing system, resulting in worldwide human bondage. It is the exact opposite of an increasingly freeing direction, where a multitude of independent countries with rich, diverse cultures forge their own paths, while respecting the people's freedom and the freedom of all other countries in mutual friendship. There are some who claim a one-world government is a natural progression that can also be observed in nature. That is false. Nature does not strive for singular uniformity. Just the opposite is true. Instead of limiting outcomes, nature multiplies them into all possibilities. When land, depleted by modern monoculture, is abandoned, nature over time will make that land fertile again, flourishing with increasing variety and complexity of life. Some say humans are pack animals, so it's natural for them to want to form increasingly larger packs. This is also false. Animals that form packs will keep them manageable in size, specific to a family tree or local surroundings. If they interact and mate with members of other packs, the new families may form new packs rather than combining with the old ones. This helps to expand and maintain a diverse gene pool within each animal species. A single pack will never encompass a continent or the planet. A multitude of choices, ideas, and solutions make for a free, resilient, and healthy society. There's one truth in nature that assures its continued advancement, certainty, and abundance. For all those benefits to be present, there needs to exist a large multiplicity in nature's state of being. Since humanity was always part of nature, for humans to also obtain and maintain maximum benefits, there must exist a variety of thoughts, personalities, skills, and possibilities within human societies. Any system promoting uniformity unto its members does so for selfish reasons to streamline control. If you question the artificial system or don't fit their mold, they will just eliminate you and call it cleansing society of bad elements. Any social structure that tries to eliminate other viable and positive examples will decrease the human potential. This is exactly what's going on today on global scale. A monopoly of power wants to restrain human freedom. Now, since your mind is still flying free, look at my world. We birds are born in nature and live fully immersed within it. Because of this, we are not just part of it, but we are nature. And so every single thing we naturally do, day to day, always benefits us and always benefits nature. You understand what I'm saying? You see, only when people return to the natural free life, all you will do will also benefit both you and nature. It is that simple. By no means am I suggesting forgetting what you learned or reverting to an uncivilized way of life. The idea here is to keep what is good and also acknowledge what this fabricated world of deception wrongfully took away from you and work to regain it. If you can shape your life using your own clear vision of what complete fulfillment means to you, your mind will never again buy into giving up on that dream for yourself and for your loved ones. By reconnecting to nature's bounty, one can learn to achieve natural freedom surrounded by truth, because there is much more to life and to the natural world than you've been told. Maybe I'll end with what seems to be the biggest, most time-consuming question of the human condition. What is the true nature and real meaning of life? If you get this answer wrong, your whole time on Earth could be misguided and deficient. Well, for me, the true nature of life is one that is lived in freedom. Free as a bird, you might even say. But this is a prerequisite for all living beings on this planet. The amount of free thought and action we experience is a direct measure of our spiritual progress and our satisfaction in life. Because I was born free, I have the knowledge and ability to drink up and eat up nature's nourishment. I'm also able to build a free shelter for my family, to comfort them while they take their own first flights of freedom. I am so very happy. I sing with delight and appreciation that our Creator granted every living thing exactly what it needed to live a free life. You might say that my life is much simpler than yours, and I will tell you that is my free choice. To keep it uncomplicated, happy, and inherently rich, all at the same time. You too still have that choice between limitless, pure, exhilarating freedom and a watered-down, false, depressing existence under constant control. Yes, there is a cost to transition, but by planning ahead, even that can be minimized. To do this, one does not need to wait for some collective awakening, or new governmental construct, or better, benevolent leader, because none of these things matter if your own mind isn't free. I have shown all around you what not exercising freedom devolves into. Do you see? Those who claim to know the true nature of our reality do anything in their personal lives to change them? Or are they just propagating the self-fulfilling prophecies of powerless capitulation? Many of them still lack the freedom I'm talking about. Only complete freedom can lead to true self-realization. Now, you don't need interpreters. Once your mind is free from the prevailing contradictions, you can rebuild the world puzzle piece by authentic piece, without forced compromises or unsupported speculations. Seek out the least mentioned news and ideas to form your own understanding. There's plenty of brightly colored window dressing out there to distract the public. It is important to be on guard. Your essence must include not just the ability to exercise reason, but also to use your intuition, because they are even more powerful when applied together. When you wake up and see the huge, impossible disconnect between what you would personally do and what is actually done worldwide by those in positions of power, your jaw drops and you finally realize that this is not just a bad dream. It is worse than I already described. But fortunately, you have the power to free yourself and restore what was lost. If you follow this one simple rule, it can really help to guide you on a path to personal liberation. It is to honestly ask, will this make me more free? This could apply to any considered action such as purchase, job, or interaction with others, and to any information, idea, plan, or goal. Asking, will it bring me and those around me more freedom? Such needs to be the first question asked, because only a fully functioning free will can expand one's integrity, intelligence, imagination, and ingenuity to help oneself and to help others live life like God intended, with courage.
Damn. Are you listening?